was the whole scenario with Landon Jackson like last week. So they elected to add him to the physically unable to perform lists, which at first I thought was kind of strange. I said, like I'm kind of surprised that they would go to that length, especially if the plan was to activate him week 1 of training camp. And then I went down this rabbit hole of his ACL history. From what I understand, he had 2 ACL tears in high school, had 1 in college. So I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on what happened to him that caused him to be on the PUP list. And as Bills fans, should we taper our expectations of this prospect based off of the injury history that he has had in high school and college?
Yeah, all good points. So let's take it from a bird's eye view. So he dropped to the 3rd round. The guy's a physical freak. He said, for his size, weight, his jump was like through the roof. I think 3 people ever, it was like Myles Garrett, Shamar Stewart, and him are the only one who hit like certain metrics at that size. So obviously he's a freak, but he's got 2 ACLs in the same knee. Now, what does that mean? 2 ACLs in the same knee? It's just more wear and tear damage on the knee. So think longevity issues. Okay. Do I want to take a 1st round pick and invest that money into him when, hang on a second. Do I want to take that 1st round pick and invest into him if I feel like, hey, this guy might not be a second contract kind of guy? So then that's an issue. He also had an ankle injury, I believe, in high school, and had some issues with that. And now more recently, he got spine boarded in his last regular season game in college. So that would have been late November this year.
You said spine boarded?
Spine boarded, yeah. He took a hit. So they chalked it up that it was nothing serious. And then he was able to play in the Senior Bowl. I believe you were there, right? About 8 weeks later. So, okay, it's not like he had neck surgery. It shouldn't have been that big of a deal. You think, okay, maybe a stinger. So then you find out that he was at the SAC Summit 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and now he's on the PUP list. So what happened? I don't know. There's some rumblings that it might have been a neck or back issue. Now, this gentleman who had mentioned it, he said that he had a neck surgery. That's been debunked. There's no way this player had a neck surgery and played 8 weeks later. That's not how it works. But he might have had an injection. So I think he mixed it up. Whoever he talked to probably said he had a procedure, and then that was an injection, and now he's having issues with his neck again. So what does that equate to? I think it's more an issue of longevity. If a guy, goes to a simple practice and he's throwing out his neck, he probably has a disc issue. Now, listen, this is very speculative.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to read between the tea leaves here. So, okay, his neck's wonky. He might have a disc issue. They gave him an injection. It didn't need surgery. It's not a full-blown herniated disc, but it's probably on its way to getting there. So does this mean that in a couple of years or sooner than later, he does have a disc issue? You blow out your disc in your neck, you got to get a fusion. You get a fusion, your career clock's 1 to 3 years. The younger you are, the longer that clock gets pushed out. But you see with like a Micah Hyde, he had the neck fusion at 30. He was done in a year. You get a prospect like Lati Letu from the Colts, who had his fusion in college. They still picked him in the 1st round, but that's why it scared teams off, the longevity. So it's all investments in these guys. He's a 3rd round pick, long story short. I know we have high hopes for him and think he can, blossom into something special, but I would assume the team said calculated risk. If he doesn't get to a second contract and he's productive for 4 or 5 years, that's great.
So it sounds like you're tapering your expectations for this guy.
For longevity, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But can you be a player for a couple of years? Yes. Now, there's one guy on the team who's kind of debunked that and has exceeded my expectations is Spencer Brown. The dude had terrible knee injuries. He had a back injury that needed – now, backs do better than necks in football, just so you know. But he had a back surgery, and he got that second contract, and he's thriving. So it's possible.
And so we're all definitely hoping for it. And then I was kind of hoping that like you could provide some sort of clarity on this as well when it comes into the physically unable to perform list. Why would they list him right on the PUP if they thought that he would be back next week? And that's what it sounds like all of the so the reports are saying based off of his interview. why would they go to that measure, say that it was something that minor? Are they not telling us something, or like, what's your deal?
It sounds like there's concern,
Okay.
but they just wanted to be safe. Maybe he wasn't in-house yet, or he came in and he spooked them with their symptoms, and they said, hey, let's pump the brakes. The guy, something happened to his neck in late November, early December, and we're just starting camp. Let's take it easy. If he needs some more time to rest, so say he's getting some symptoms, he's got some tingling down the arm, right? He's got a little pinch of that nerve. Give him some time. Give him a couple weeks. If it goes away real quick because he's young and he gets to that Mafia con, he's like, guys, I'm good. Like, I felt good for 5 days. Like, they didn't need the pup, he's thinking. But that's maybe where the team came from with that.
Interesting.